You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. Hello, my friends. Before we dive into today's episode, I've got a very big announcement for you. Registration is officially open for our 2025 Solo Adventure Summit. Now, this is our free 2-day virtual event that happens June 5th and 6th, where you're going to get to learn everything you need to feel confident, prepared, and inspired to get out on your own solo adventures this year. And we've got 10 incredible outdoor educators, adventurers, and safety experts, including myself, lined up to teach you workshops on solo backpacking, outdoor self-defense, safety planning, mindset shifts, and wildlife encounters, and so much more. It's the kind of support and community that I personally wish I had when I was just getting started, especially when it comes to getting out there solo. And the best part about this event is it's totally free to attend live. So if you've been craving more confidence, more clarity, and even more connection around your solo goals, this is your moment. Do not miss this event. It's our biggest event of the year. You can head to shedreamsofalpine.com/summit to grab your free ticket. I will also link that in the show notes. Again, it's shedreamsofalpine.com/summit and grab your free ticket. I hope to see you there. It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to love it. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. You are listening to episode 32, and if you've been craving more independence, more confidence, and more freedom on your adventures, especially when it comes to going solo, this episode is for you. And we are gearing up for our annual Solo Adventure Virtual Summit, which is happening on June 5th and 6th. You might have heard all about it in my intro, but if you haven't registered yet, you can do that now at shedreamsofalpine.com/summit. This summit is basically a masterclass in everything that you need to know to feel safe and self-sufficient outdoors when going solo, especially if going solo is on your heart. So today's episode is designed to get you prepped and excited for that experience. And we're going to talk all about 4 outdoor skills every woman should master before going on a solo trip. Now, before we dive into those 4 skills, I did want to get something off my chest. Heading into the backcountry solo can be one of the most empowering things that you can do for yourself, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility. The responsibility to be prepared, the responsibility to make safety plans, the responsibility to know how to trust in your own self-sufficiency and your own judgment, right? It also takes a lot of responsibility in knowing when to make safety calls, to turn around, make pivots in your plan, to get or ask for help, or maybe even opt out of a solo adventure entirely. People sometimes think that when I advocate for women getting out on their own in the outdoors, that I'm suggesting that folks shouldn't be safe or make good judgment calls about it. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Advocating for solo adventures does not mean throwing caution to the wind. It's not about ignoring risks or pretending bad things don't happen. In fact, this is all about facing the truth, and life itself is risky. And we are constantly, especially as women, being sold the lie that the solution is to shrink ourselves, stay at home, not do anything outside of the box. But you know, there are so many other things that are in our life that are risky. And you already know this. This is common sense, right? Like staying sedentary is a risk. Never going outside and getting fresh air and like moving around for our mental health is a risk. Being stuck in cycles of stress and burnout and disconnection is a risk. Driving a car to your grocery store is a huge risk. Literally just existing in a big city as a woman is a risk. And when it comes to personal safety, here's what the actual statistics say. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, over 80% of sexual assault victims know their assailant. And I know that there's so many of y'all who are worried about kind of stranger danger out on the trail. What's fascinating is most acts of violence against women happen in our own homes with people that we know and not in the wilderness. So I just want to say all of this because we are always assuming a certain level amount of risk. This is when it comes to kind of like your personal safety, stranger danger kind of topic. This is something I talked all about with Nicole Snell from Girls Fight Back on our last episode. So if you want to hear more, dig more into that topic, if that's something that's been really like kind of tugging at you and people are using that against you when you talk about going on solo adventures, definitely check out that episode. The thing is that most people, they use fear as a way to control the narrative, or maybe they're just coming from a place where they just really don't understand and they don't realize that the amount of risk that we're taking on in certain solo adventures is very similar to the amount of risk we're taking on in our day-to-day lives. It's just an unknown for a lot of people, and that is scary. People are scared of the unknown. And, you know, let me be loud and clear. Like, the outdoors is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. And yes, solo adventuring does require more planning. It does require honest self-awareness and safety systems. It does ask you to take radical responsibility for your choices, but that doesn't mean that you can't get out there and go on solo adventures. It just means that you do it with purpose and you do it with intention. The outdoors has risk, yes. Going on your own outdoor adventures and being solo adds another element of risk, of course. But going in groups doesn't mean you've reduced your risk either. In fact, there will be a session at our Solo Adventure Summit where I'm going to talk all about the pros and cons of going on group versus solo backpacking trips. And that includes a false sense of security that like many new backpackers can get when they go in groups. And I'm going to talk all about that in that session. And the point is, our lives are filled with risk. And my job as an outdoor educator is to help you make the best choice for you, not from a place of fear, but a foundation of education and empowerment. And that is what I do inside of my program, the Backpacking Badass program. We have clients who want to do a plethora of adventures, and maybe not just solo, might be in groups, might be solo, but some of them do want to go solo because they don't have anyone else to go with. So it's like, I don't want to say you can't do that. I do that, so I would never tell somebody they can't do something and then me go do it myself. So I want to empower people with the tools that they can make the best choice for themselves. And it's also why we're hosting the upcoming Solo Adventure Summit, so that you do not have to navigate this journey alone. Because if you've been dreaming of going solo, you're tired of waiting around for somebody else to join you, then I want you to know this. You are not alone. There is literally a whole community of women out here doing solo adventures safely and confidently and on their own terms. So yeah, if you haven't registered yet for that summit, make sure you do so at shedreamsofalpine.com/summit. And now let's talk about a few of those skills that can help make going solo possible. Let's talk about that foundation that can turn fear into freedom. And in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through 4 essential outdoor skills that I believe every woman should master before taking off on a solo trip. Now, of course, there are more skills than this that I would love all of my clients and students to learn, but I wanted to pull out just a few of the most essential ones for this episode. So skill number 1 is route planning and navigation. Now, if you know me, you know I am really passionate about this topic. And when you're solo, you are your own guide. You cannot rely on somebody else to know where you're going or what to do when you take a wrong turn. You need to have a detailed route plan and something that ideally you've thought through ahead of time. You need a GPS system and a paper map and compass, plus the know-how to use those devices. And you want an understanding of your terrain, weather patterns, any hazards, and a good understanding of your options to pivot before you even hit the trail. So inside of my Backpacking Badass program, I do teach navigation in a really in-depth way. But in my opinion, it's really digestible because I feel like a lot of my clients, they feel overwhelmed by the tech, or they feel they have always identified with not being good with direction. So I aim to really make this easy and simple and doable, because every woman deserves to feel confident finding her way and not getting lost. Like, getting lost used to be one of the biggest fears that I had about going outdoors when I first started hiking and backpacking, especially when going solo. But now it is one of the skills that I feel most confident in and I love to teach. One of my favorite things is helping women see how easy it can be to get started with the skill of navigation and to build up that skill and that confidence over time on more advanced trips if they want to do so. So that is skill number 1. Skill number 2 is creating trip and safety plans. So this is one of the most overlooked solo safety practices, and it's also one of the most important. It's also extremely important even if you're not going solo, and I talk about that a lot. But being responsible, safe, and a confident hiker and backpacker, it all starts with the pre-work that you have done beforehand. So that's why, as much as I think like going on a guided adventure, like signing up for a guided backpacking trip or something like that, as much as I think that's fun, I would much rather teach my clients how to do this pre-planning on their own for their own trips so that they really learn this skill, because this is what helps mitigate most bad situations that you might encounter when you're out there on the trail. It helps you stay calm when and if you need to pivot, right? It is the foundation of everything. So it's a skill that is really important to know, especially if you want to keep doing this kind of thing on your own. So before heading out, you should always leave a trip and emergency plan and a communication plan with a safety contact back at home or a loved one that is like kind of keeping tabs, right? That includes, but is not limited to, because we're not going to go over a full like trip and safety plan here, but it can include things like your route, your planned itinerary, a GPX file of your trip if you have it, right? Share that with your person, camp locations, maybe options that you might have, details about your group, who's in it, what you're carrying, emergency contacts and contacts of the local area, when to call for help if you don't check in, and by when. Having a clear communication plan in place is key so that people know when they should be reaching out about you, right? All of these things don't just protect you, it also empowers the people who care about you with clear information, which builds trust and peace of mind all around. If you did get in a situation where you needed help from search and rescue, they could get this information easier and could make for a much smoother safety and rescue situation, right? So there's so many reasons to do this outside of even just helping yourself feel more prepared. But that is like one of the big reasons. Again, this is something that I teach extensively inside of our Backpacking Badass programs, particularly for backpacking trips. And we do even have a special session at our Solo Adventure Summit, which is free to attend, all about creating a safety plan for your solo adventure. So if you are interested in learning more about this, make sure that you attend that session. So skill number 3 is to train your body and understand your limits. So solo trips, especially big ones like a solo backpacking trip, they aren't the time to really see what you're capable of, without any prep at least, right? They're the time to know what you're capable of because you've trained for it. It's not that this is all about getting super fit or crushing big miles. It's about developing an honest relationship with your body and what it can handle. Because the truth is, when you're alone out there, your body is your only vehicle and your only safety net. So training, whether that's day hikes with a loaded pack, some zone 2 cardio, building up to elevation and mileage gradually, this helps you understand what your body can handle and what it can't yet, right before you go out on a really big epic adventure. It helps you build resilience for hard trail days, and it also helps you prevent injuries, exhaustion, and from having those kind of like panic freak out moments like, can I do this? You will know a little bit more about your body before you hit the trail on a big solo adventure. So training is how we respect the trail and ourselves and don't get ourselves into big pickles, right? When it comes to like, can can I handle this physically? And then we can build up to bigger adventures in a way that's really grounded and smart and sustainable. And finally, the last skill that I'm going to mention in today's episode is learning how to minimize potential dangerous animal encounters. So one of the most important things we can do in the outdoors, especially when we're solo, is to reduce the likelihood of ever even having a dangerous wildlife encounter in the first place. And the best defense that we have is knowledge and preparation and your voice. So we are going to have an entire session dedicated to this topic at the Solo Adventure Summit with wildlife safety expert Kim from Bear Safety and more. I even have a special podcast episode coming up with her, but here are a few foundational tips to get you started. So number one is researching the wildlife common in the area that you're going to be hiking or backpacking. So know what animals live there, what seasons and times of day they are active, know how they behave. Knowledge can reduce your fear and increase your ability to act wisely. Number two is store your food and smelly items properly, especially important in bear country. This means using things like a bear canister or approved bear bag system. Number three is making noise when you're hiking solo. Kim is going to talk about this more in the episode that I did with her and probably on her session, but like one of the biggest tools that we have in staying safe, especially when we're solo, is our voice. And this is especially important in dense brush around blind corners. Like talk out loud, give a hoop and holler like every now and then to give wildlife the chance to move away before you surprise them. Most animals do not want to have an encounter with you either. And number four, know what to do if you do have an encounter, right? Bears, mountain lions, moose, these all require different responses. So read up before you go, understand how to act in those situations because you want to know you're going to be high adrenaline, right? And if you carry things like bear spray, which are great tools, right? But practice using it beforehand so you're not fumbling around when your adrenaline is spiking in these kind of like high stakes scenarios. So I've seen way too many hikers rely on that I'll figure it out if it comes up, right? Approach, but that is not a plan, especially if you're alone, right? So knowing how to prevent unwanted animal encounters and how to react if one happens is critical to staying safe and confident on the trail. All right, my friends, those are just a few of the essential skills that I believe every woman and person should master before heading out on any solo adventure. There are so many more skills that we could cover in this session, from how to pack smart to learning basic first aid to planning your route with a clear emergency exit points and understanding how to pivot and calm confidence, all these things. These are not just nice to know details. These are skills that build your confidence, your safety, and your freedom when you hit the trail, whether that's in a group or going solo. And if you want to go deeper on these skills, that's exactly what I do inside of my program, the Backpacking Badass program. But for now, just know this. When it comes to stepping more into going on solo adventures, you do not have to figure this out on your own. That is one of the big reasons that we host our free summit, the Solo Adventure Summit. And before you do anything else today, make sure you're signed up at shedreamsofalpine.com/summit. The summit is totally free. It's happening June 5th and 6th, and it's your opportunity to start building these skills with structure, guidance, and a community of adventurous women that are going to be doing it right alongside you, right? You're going to learn from amazing speakers on topics on solo backpacking safety, outdoor self-defense, bear and wildlife encounters, planning your first solo road trip, mindset shifts to feel more confident when you feel that fear of going solo, and so much more. So if you've been sitting on the fence about going solo, I hope this episode helped break it down, give you a stronger foundation for where to focus and where to begin as you're learning to build up some of these skill sets. Again, you can register for the Solo Adventure Summit at shedreamsofalpine.com/summit. And one more exciting thing that I just want to mention before we close this episode. Right after the summit, we are opening enrollment for our summer cohort of the Backpacking Badass program. So that enrollment will take place from June 9th through 13th. So if you want to up-level your support on building your solo hiking and backpacking skills and become that safe and confident and self-sufficient backpacker, keep your eyes peeled for that open enrollment too. That will happen right after the summit. Okay, y'all, that is it for today. A short and sweet episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next week with another episode. Bye. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into your adventurous identity, and that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist, and you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.